Thank you for this really incredible welcome. I can't believe how many of you are here today. I'm going to pull this up. Oh, it gives me such great confidence that you're all here supporting me. So many people from Mississauga, but so many local people from this riding that remember me when I've come to all your community events over the years. It feels so good to put my name on a ballot once again so that I can represent you, hopefully as the next premier of this province. You know we're all here today because Doug Ford doesn't care about you, right? It's the truth. He's called a snap election in the middle of winter because he's trying to outrun an RCMP investigation. This election is not about tariffs. It's about Doug Ford's Ontario. He has wasted $189 million calling an early and unnecessary election. That almost $200 million could have been invested in our healthcare system to provide you with a family doctor. How many people in this room don't have a family doctor? Right? I see hands everywhere. 2.5 million Ontarians don't have a family doctor, but he could have put it into anything to make your life a little easier and a little more affordable. But he didn't do that. He's wasting that money because he's trying to cling to power, protect himself, protect his own job, right? Rather than do the right thing. If he were serious about a tariff threat, he'd be at his desk right now, protecting us, coming up with a plan and a strategy. Do you see any other premier across this country taking this opportunity to call a snap election? Of course not, because they're hard at work trying to protect their residents in their provinces. I look around here and I see so many young people, and you know very well that I have 3 young people, young adults, and they're really worried about the state of Ontario today. Many of them don't have jobs. They don't have a family doctor. They want to start families. They can't afford homes. You know what they've been told? You want to become successful? Leave Ontario. How shocking is that? They see the state of our healthcare system. We saw 1,014 people lined up at Walkerton, seniors in parkas, bundled up with their walkers in their wheelchairs, waiting 6 hours in a snowstorm for access to one new family doctor in Walkerton. Shameful, shameful. Young moms bundled up babies with children in strollers, waiting 6 hours for access to one family doctor. That's Doug Ford's Ontario, and that is shameful, and that is what we are fighting against. You know, Doug Ford likes to slap a ball cap on and say that Canada is not for sale, right? Showmanship rather than leadership. But do you know what is for sale? Doug Ford. He tried to carve up the Greenbelt and sell it to his rich buddies for $8.3 billion. And that's why we have this election today, because he's trying to outrun an RCMP investigation and cling to power. And nobody knows that better than the MPP from this riding previously who got caught in Vegas with a big Greenbelt developer. They know that too acutely. Doug Ford does not share our priorities. His are all about protecting himself, not protecting Ontario. That's right. He's worried about booze, bike lanes, big spas, and his rich buddies. We've uncovered more than $7 billion in waste, $2 billion to expedite the sale of beer and wine. Another $2 billion given to a foreign spa company at Ontario Place. Why is it always about the foreign companies, those CEOs that are buddies with the Premier? You know, the Costco's, the Walmarts, the Staples of the world, 7-Eleven, they're always getting the deals. And then $3 billion in checks, pre-election checks. A little bit of a bribe, maybe, you think.
Bouncing.
They're bouncing, true. But that's not the point. It is good to get a check. Come on, you like your money back. I get that. What about next month? It helps once. It helps this month with your rent and your groceries. I know too well. I live in this town like all of you do. I go to the grocery store. I see the young moms putting the meat back down. People approach me. Hey, you're our mayor. Can you get me a family doctor? That's what people are worried about. Doug Ford doesn't have the right priorities. And over the 7 years, things have only gotten worse. I ask you, is your life more affordable today than it was before Doug Ford? No. The reality is that is not the case. And we now have an opportunity to show to him what we really think. I gotta tell you, we were door knocking yesterday. Barrie and in Markham. People said, a guy was jogging. I'm not kidding, he was jogging and he saw us in our red jackets and, you know, with our brochures, and he backed up. He said, hey, you the Liberals? I said, yes we are, I'm Bonnie Crombie. This is Kelly Dunn, your local candidate here in Markham. He said, I'm a Conservative. I said, well, he said, I'm voting for you. I really oppose the snap election in the middle of the winter, but I'm going to send a clear message to Doug Ford that this is unacceptable. Our lives are getting worse. I need all of you. And together, we're going to do more for you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you all for coming, and I've got the media here, so I'm happy to take your questions. Sorry if I inundated you with the, sorry if I inundated you.
Sorry, if we can all line up here. One question, one follow-up, name and outlet, please. Thank you.
Well, Rob's got on, okay, sorry, Rob.
Good morning, Bonnie. Ahmed Al-Bayoumi, Poly Corner. Bonnie, I want to ask you about something Patrick Brown told me last week in Brampton when the Premier was making an announcement. He said that as Mississauga's mayor, you were antagonistic, confrontational, and draconian towards Brantonians. And he said that I hope that in her new position, the anti-Brampton approach that she took will be put in the rearview mirror. Do you have concerns about what he said? Why is he saying this about you?
As mayor of the city of Mississauga, of course I stood up for Mississaugans, but now, as Premier for Ontario, I will stand up for all Ontarians.
Sylvia Gualtieri is the PC candidate in this riding. She's Patrick Brown's mother-in-law, and she's the sister of MPP Rudy Cazzetto. I presume from folks I've spoken to, the PC machine here in the riding will be more of a family machine. The Patrick Brown machine that he's used in Brampton, that Rudy Cazzetto uses in Lakeshore, they're going to be up against you in this riding. Are you confident that you can win, and what do you make about this dynamic? Is this a personal feud with the Brown family?
I am so happy to be back in Mississauga and to put my name on a ballot here. And no matter who is running against me, we have an army, we have a machine, and the Liberal team and the Liberal machine is going to run in this election right here, right in Mississauga East.
Joe Warrington from Toronto Sun Post.
Hi, Joe. Nice to see you.
Just on the way over here, I heard Howard Lutnick, who's the incoming financial person in the U.S., said that basically the tariffs are very close to being off the table, and yet the election is called for that. And I wonder, what is your position on the tariffs? Yesterday, the Premier said basically that he would create, in essence, something like the pandemic, welfare state kind of financing. What is your position on how you would handle it if the tariffs come through?
So what I'm hearing is there may not be tariffs, so we may not have needed to go to an election? Is that what you're saying, Joe? We have told the Premier we would support any stimulus package proposed that will protect Ontarians, and protect Ontario's jobs. I think he should have been at his desk doing the hard work, not gallivanting around the province right now in a snap of unnecessary $189 million election, not gallivanting over to Washington. If you're going to be a candidate in an election, you better be here, not using resources of the government to travel to Washington. But this election is unnecessary. You just even said how more unnecessary it is. So he should be right here at his desk, creating a plan that we will support. All the opposition parties have agreed we would support any plan. We needed a united front. We will work together to address Donald Trump's threats, and we will present that united front to the federal government, who will go into the negotiations. I will support his response to Donald Trump, and I have said so, and so have the other opposition parties, Joe. Thank you. It's because I care about Ontarians, and I care about their priorities. Doug Ford has the wrong priorities, Joe. You know, he said he would end hallway health care, but he didn't get it done. I will. He said he'd cut your taxes. He didn't get that done either, but I will. I'm a different kind of liberal, and we're going to cut taxes. He also said he'd build 1.5 million homes. He didn't get that done either, and we will, because we have a plan that will stimulate growth and stimulate building of homes, and we will get it done. Thank you.
Just to follow up on what Ahmed was talking about, Sylvia Gutierrez is the family member of 2 PCs, and I have a mayor who seems to really not like you. Are you? Did they do this on purpose? Do you think they were holding her so that she could run against you? She's run for city council. Is this personal? And like, are they trying to put up somebody so that Patrick Brown can get at you through her?
Mm-hmm. So this election is about me and Doug Ford. Doug Ford's Ontario versus my vision of Ontario. A place where everyone has access to a family doctor. A place where our young people, including my own, can afford to buy a home. A place that is affordable, because after 7 years, I ask you, is your life more affordable? And it is not. We have a plan that will cut personal income taxes, that will cut small business taxes, and that will eliminate the HST off home heating and hydro. We have a plan to make life more affordable for all people, but especially our young people, and especially our seniors, because, hey, I got a big birthday next week. I'm kind of concerned about that. My mom is 88, she's turning 89. I'm really concerned about our seniors and how they're dealt with by this province. And they want a premier who's hard at work, on the job, at their desk, not running around calling unnecessary $189 million elections. So this is about my vision.
If you are elected premier, though, how are you going to handle the relationships with people like Patrick Brown who are so clearly antagonistic towards you?
Well, you know, my plan, I'm a very personable person, to build strong relationships with all the mayors, and I understand the issues of the municipal sector, having served as the chair of the Ontario Big City Mayors. And I think he voted for me, in fact. We should check that. So I understand that they're facing downloading from the province and that they need a new deal. And I commit to the mayors of the large cities and the small towns that they will have a new deal, and we will work collaboratively to determine what that's going to look like, because they can't deal with the challenges that have been downloaded onto them. Let's just take one example. Mental health care, homelessness, and addictions. There's no plan for the province. The mayors of the small towns, the large cities, are left to grapple with those issues themselves because it's not being coordinated by the province, and that there is no investment by the province. And don't tell me about the heart hubs. They won't open for some years, and they are a drop in the bucket. They are absolutely a drop in the bucket. There are no programs for addicts today who are seeking recovery that can afford. So don't tell me about a plan that might open their doors in 4 or 5 years' time. People need help now. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Mark with the Canadian Press. I want to ask you on a different topic. How do you think we should support our EV supply chain in Ontario?
Yes.
With the slowing in sales recently, And do you think Ontario can still support 3 battery plants?
Yes. So I'm very concerned that the Premier has put all our eggs in the EV basket, has not tried to diversify our economy, insulate us in any way, brought different kinds of investment into Ontario and create jobs. When I was mayor of this great city, I worked so hard to bring investment into our city based on our 4 core sectors. I stole deals that were going to US states like New Jersey and brought them here to Canada, brought them to Ontario, and brought them to Mississauga. And that's what I would do, try to diversify our economy. I'm very concerned. I'm very concerned about EV batteries, what's going to happen south of the border. You know, once they pull the subsidies, what will happen? Will the Honda plant continue? Will the Stellantis plant continue? The Stellantis plant was built for foreign workers, not even Ontario workers. There aren't Ontario jobs at the Stellantis plant. Will those plants still continue? What have we heard from those CEOs? Because I think a few of them may not proceed.
So are you gonna consider bringing back rebates to encourage EV sales?
Absolutely, we have a plan for more greening our economy and bringing back some more initiatives that will help stimulate green and sustainability. So thank you. Yes, we will. We need to diversify all natural, sustainable energy.
Including bringing back rebates on EV sales?
Yes.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Hi, Paige Bidup from The Pointer.
Hi,
I'm
Paige.
just going to circle back a bit because you kind of pivoted your response to media regarding the connections to Mayor Patrick Brown. Can you directly say if you're concerned at all about these connections and the involvement possibly behind the scenes?
The mayor of Brampton is running a really big city. He's got a lot of challenges there with his infrastructure, his transit, his hospital. We will always be there to support the people of Brampton.
And on a separate note, can you speak to the Liberals' lack of candidates so far, and when can we expect to see more announced?
Oh, listen, we have over 100 candidates, another 12 in the pipe. I think we're only lacking less than a dozen. They'll be on board. We will be running a full slate. Thank you, Paige.
Hi, Bonnie. Mr. Ford was asked this morning about the future of the EV sector in light of the possible change of government federally. He and Prime Minister Trudeau were very closely aligned, lots of public money going toward production subsidies, production credits. If Pierre Poilievre becomes Prime Minister, are you concerned about the future of that sector? I mean, we have put a lot of our eggs in that basket, but those eggs are already there, so
Yes.
you can't turn it off.
Well, I'm concerned about the future of the sector. Yes, I'm concerned about what those U.S. multinationals and foreign nationals will do, whether the investment will hold, whether they will keep their commitments, what will happen south of the border, you know, what will the influence of certain technocrats that may have the ear of the incoming president be. So will those investments proceed? But again, he has not worked to insulate our economy by putting all eggs in one basket. It's not how I would operate. We needed to have diversified our economy. We needed investment in different sectors, Rob, not just the EV sector, which I'm not sure what will happen, given factors south of the border and a potential leadership change federally.
Now, you've spoken to Pierre Poilievre in the past. Do you think you'd be able to, if you win the next election and he wins the next election, would you be able to work with him to ensure that the EV sector could continue in Ontario?
Yes, I would certainly have that conversation. As you well know, he and I served together while I was in Ottawa for that one term. We ran into each other recently at a community event, and we spoke and had some friendly words. You know, he actually made a comment about admiring our housing plan, and he thought it was the most effective of all the plans. And I said, it's something I plan to implement. Thank you very much. And wished me well, etc. So he was very polite. We have a very cordial relationship, and I'm sure the door is open to enhance that partnership. Let's call it a collaborative partnership.
Hi, Bonnie. Today, Premier Ford, or Mr. Ford, the PC leader, I'm not sure at all.
Candidate for
was asked about, you running in Mississauga and whether he has concerns now about seats in this area, and you just said no. But what do you think you bring to the GTA as a former mayor and Mississauga candidate? How do you think you're going to shore up the vote in the Greater Toronto area, given your background?
Laura, it's a great question. First, let me say that I think we have the best team and the best plan that will resonate with everyone in the GTA. You know, it's going to be about them and what their needs are, which are coincidentally the same as the needs of everyone across Ontario who is worried about having access to medicine, worried about having a family doctor, worried about their taxes and make life affordable again, and worried about one day owning a home and affording their rent, etc. So they have the same priorities. I will say in the GTA, I benefit from a lot of name recognition. The people of Mississauga elected me 5 times. Once as an MP, once as a city councillor, and 3 times as mayor with increasing majorities. So if he's not concerned, maybe he should be.
Strategy for going up against the NDP as the alternative to the PC government? Margaret Stiles had some very harsh words for you yesterday. She essentially said you want to be Doug Ford, and she's asking for people to consider her party as the alternative to the governing party. So what are you going to say to people who are looking for something different? Why would they choose you over the official opposition right now?
Well, that leader does not have a very serious plan. We have a serious plan that will deliver for the people of Ontario. She well knows I'm an experienced leader, having served in federal government, but have led the 3rd largest city in this province, led through the pandemic crisis, which was COVID. I understand crises, I understand management, hence why the people of Mississauga kept electing me with increasing majorities. So I think I bring a depth and breadth to the table that doesn't compare with that leader's experience, but nonetheless, we are the party that will deliver. We are the party that will do more for you, because I think we have our pulse on the needs of the real people in Ontario, and it's their healthcare needs, it's their housing and affordability needs, and it's their tax cut needs. We understand what people need.
Hey, good morning, Ms. Crombie. If you were the Premier right now, what would be your response plan to tariffs which would come into effect on Friday? On the 1st, sorry.
So let's back that up, because I want to say once again that this is not an election about tariffs. This is an election about Doug Ford's record and the fact that Ontario is getting worse and worse each and every day. And the fact that I said I would support his response on tariffs, as did the other opposition leaders. Now, I would be at my desk doing my job. Let's start there. Secondly, I would have built in those relationships, and he hasn't done so. I don't know what his relationships are with those 17 governors that are our first or second trading partner in the United States. I would have brought investment in Ontario that would have diversified our economy, stimulated our economy, and created jobs. So we wouldn't be in this crisis right now. But quite frankly, we don't know if this tariff threat is real, but we have to take the threat as real. He should have been prepared, and he should be at his desk right now, working for the people of Ontario, not gallivanting around the province, calling a fake election, an expensive and unnecessary election. He has a majority government until June 2026 at a cost of $189 million, which you rightly pointed out yesterday, that the crop prices increased from the previous thought that it would be much less. $189 million that could have otherwise gone to your healthcare, gone to your education. We have overcrowded classrooms, infrastructure in schools that is crumbling. Our healthcare system is crumbling. Our education system is crumbling. People can't afford their rent and groceries in the same month. And he uses this opportunity to call an election. I got a word for you, Premier. Get back to work. That's what you should be doing.
To be clear, though, that $189 million would have been spent in 2026 or 2025. Doesn't necessarily matter when the election was.
But it's needed now. Well, you want to talk about waste? Let's talk about waste. Let's talk about $2 billion to expedite the sale of beer and wine that was coming this year anyways. Let's talk about $2 billion to a foreign-owned spa at Ontario Place, and another $3 billion in the checks. $3 billion, that's $7 billion off the top of my head, and we know that there's much more. I get it, it's great to have a check in your pocket this month, Colin. What about next month? How will you pay your groceries and your rent at the same time next month?
Okay. back to tariffs though. So I didn't really hear anything quite specific in terms of what you would do. The Progressive Conservatives say they would spend tens of billions of dollars. If you were the premier right now,
Yes.
what would be the one big thing that you would do in response to tariffs if they come in on February 1st?
I think the important thing is to have a united front with our federal counterparts. Spending tens of billions of dollars without a plan, Colin, what's he going to spend it on? I'd like to see it. Now, I'm very supportive of additional stimulus to put into the economy to protect jobs. Our auto workers' jobs, which are seriously at threat. Our healthcare jobs, which are seriously at threat, while he privatizes medicine, by the way. So yes, I believe in a stimulus package. I would support it, but I'd like to see his plan. Where's the plan? He's known this threat's been coming for months. Where's the plan? We need a coordinated response with our federal government. We need to have a united front with everyone working together. I don't see any other premier across this country using this opportunity, this moment, to call an election for their advantage so that they can cling to power like Doug Ford is. This is all about clinging to power and outrunning an RCMP investigation. This has nothing to do with the tariff response, because if he was truly concerned, he'd be at his desk working at it right now.
Bonnie, bringing up the rear, so I want to follow up on something that my friend Laura asked about. What about the NDP's plan is not serious?
I'm not going to talk about specifics, but there are some programs that would be extremely costly, that are not well thought out, that I don't believe are serious. We have a plan that will address people's needs. We're going to get the basics right for people. We're going to give them access to family doctors. We're going to invest in the healthcare system so that when they go to their hospitals, they don't have to wait 12 to 15 hours to be seen. We're going to invest in our education system to prepare our young people for the jobs of tomorrow, to ensure our classrooms aren't overcrowded and our schools aren't crumbling. We're going to cut your taxes. Is there any other party talking about tax cuts? Income tax cuts, small business tax cuts, lifting the HST off home heating and hydro? No other party is talking about that, because I want to bring back affordability to this province, and I don't think any other party is concerned about that, and that's why I say they're not serious. I want to build homes. You all know that we have a formidable housing plan that will eliminate those hidden taxes on the home purchaser, but yet make cities whole. We have the most robust platform and the robust, realistic plan that will be costed, that will serve the needs of Ontarians. We're going to get the basics right for a change, rather than be focused on the wrong priorities: booze, bike lanes, big spas, rich buddies. End to that. End to the corruption. End to the lack of integrity. End to the wasteful government spending. I can come up with $7 billion off the top of my head.
But when it comes to, earlier we talked about Polyev praising your housing plan, and you say you're a different kind of liberal. Do you have any concerns about alienating some people on the left who might feel that you're right?
I don't want to put a label on anything. That's up to Doug Ford to slap a label on it. I don't think anyone opposes a leader who is fiscally responsible, who has never had a deficit. I think everybody would like to end deficits. We have the highest spending government on record, the highest debt, the highest deficit. We have an unemployment rate higher than it's been in a decade. Our economy is crumbling, and Doug Ford uses this moment to worry about himself, to call a snap election in the middle of winter so that he can cling to power and outrun an RCMP investigation. That $189 million should have been put back into our economy to save jobs and to bring people a family doctor. Thank you all for coming today.
Just Jamie with City TV. This question is being sent in by Mark McAllister. Is that another?
Okay. Hi, Mark.
You have the disadvantage, you're not an incumbent. The other leaders can easily cover the province and not worry about their own riding. You have two very important election campaigns,
Yes.
your own riding and across the province. Where are you going to spend your priorities?
Well, first of all, let me say that I've had my name on the ballot in this riding at least 3 times as mayor of Mississauga, so I think I'm quite a well-known entity. You can see from the depth and breadth of people in this room, all these people are local, and they have come to support me in this riding. As leader, I think we acknowledge that I'll be traveling across the province to some of our key ridings and getting to listen to the problems and sharing our platform so that it's broadly received across the province. So of course I'm going to be spending time here. This afternoon I'll be door knocking, in fact. But yes, I'll have to spend time across the province as well. But I don't think that's a disadvantage. I've had my name on a ballot here 3 times already, Jane. Mark, thank you.
And I think it was
Thank you all for coming today.